Have you ever come across someone that seems to have natural gift at making money? Do you want to emulate their success but aren't sure? Hello and welcome back to Only Pay. We'll be discussing about what you must do to make a lot of money. Be sure to watch all the way to the end. If you are new to the channel, then hit the subscribe button below from our life-changing content. Becoming a money magnet, I want you to ask yourself, if I were to become a person whom money was magically attracted to, what would I do? With this newfound wealth, would you buy a new fancy car? Would you buy a whole new wardrobe? The 5 methods I am about to share with you guaranteed to make you wealthier than you have ever been before. But before I do, you need to understand that money only contributes to your happiness when spent correctly. Now, I'm not going to sit here and try to convince you and that money doesn't buy you happiness, because quite frankly I believe it does, but only when it's new. Correctly, before I get into how you can exchange money for happiness, let's talk about instant, where spending doesn't make you happier. Money times people buy stuff because they think subconsciously perhaps that will bring them happiness. They just have to have at least a phone or outfit. And yes, spending money is fun and makes us happy, but for how long? More often than not, novelty of the new item you purchase wears off in a day or two and you are right back and where you started. So then you have to buy more achieve. That spending high, the cycle continues. This cycle is what keeps the majority of people broke, and getting caught into this behavior doesn't bring true happiness to their life. So instead, spending your money on things that will give you long-lasting happiness. For instance, buy your parents their dream car. Then every time you see them driving, it will make you happy that you were able to help them realize lifelong dreams of their. Alternatively, spend money on travel. Seeing different parts of the world will make you appreciate what you have to do, will create memories that you can cherish for your lifetime. Now that you know how to spend money to achieve immense happiness, the real question is, will you ever have money to do any of that? In my opinion, the answer depends on few factors. I believe that just about anyone can become a money magnet. All they have to do is employ the following 5 proven methods that I will now go over. Method number 1. Positioning yourself for financial success. The people that become the wealthiest in the world are those who know themselves well. This means that they know their own strength and especially their weakness, and ensure that both of these elements are managed to ensure their wealth is maximized. Unfortunately, the number of people who knows themselves well is very small. This is because not a lot of people take the time to self-reflect, and those who do tend to stay away from focusing on aspects of themselves that are not as strong as they would. Like for instance, many people complain that their employers don't pay them enough, but they aren't willing to reflect on why their current skills set isn't worth more money. The rich, on the other hand, don't get in their own way, which is why they lean on their strength and manage their weakness. For instance, not everyone who makes a large income is good at saving it. However, for those who have tendency to spend more money than they should, setting up system to ensure their saving success is a great way to mitigate this problem. One way to do this through automated deduction. In a sense, what this deduction allows you to do is send part of your paycheck directly into savings account instead of a full amount going right into a checking account, where you would be more tempted to spend in allocating 10 of your after-tax income to your saving account is a great first step in automated your savings effort. And if you want to ramp up how fast you save money, then ask your boss to deduct 20 to 30 or whatever percentage works best for you. And the self-awareness doesn't just relate to saving money. It's important to learn how you react to certain situations. Without that knowledge, you can set up measures to ensure that you don't fail financially. For instance, how would you react if your investment fell by 50? Would you have the confidence in your savings knowledge to let them ride out the poor economic times, or would you pull out whatever money was left knowing the answer to these questions is crucial on long-term financial success. A third way to position yourself for financial success is to place value on taking actions. This one is pretty simple. No success has ever been achieved without action. Therefore, knowing how to get yourself to take necessary action to achieve your goals is vitally important. One way to create positive action in your life is to set up positive habits. In the book The Power of Habit, written by Charles Deacon, he explains that in order for your habit to be successful employed, there must be a cue, a routine, and reward. And by setting up all three these elements into financial habit, you will be sure to see money coming your way. Method number 2. Be a non-stop learner. The second method in becoming a money magnet is to strive to learn more every single day. Now, this doesn't mean you need to sign up for a new degree or attend a whole bunch of college classes. Over the last decade, the avenues of education have expanded so greatly that there are methods of learning that can appeal to just about anyone. For instance, if sitting in lecture isn't for you, you can watch an engaging video on YouTube instead, or if you find reading puts you to sleep, you can plug into audiobook version of their text instead. Sadly, many broke individuals stop learning. Once their formal education ends, they act as they have already acquired all information they need in life to succeed, yet this is far from the truth. We see it all the time, the rich individuals spending more time and money than some people, making a lifetime on their own personal growth. Take an example of Dan Lok. This Canadian entrepreneur, multimillionaire, invests more than $500,000 a year into his education in the form of courses, coaching, and many other learning opportunities. Even Warren Buffett, the oracle of Omaha, himself used the read anyway from 600 to 1000 pages a day after already hitting a millionaire status. And today, a net worth of $90 billion, he still spends 80% of his day reading and strategizing. Therefore, if you want to become a money magnet, then you need to have an unstable thirsty of knowledge. Method number 3. You prioritize saving. The third way to become a money magnet is to operate with high saving rate. Like I said earlier in this video, you can make as much as you want, but if you save none of it, then you will ever be rich. Now, establishing a high saving rate can be achieved in numerous ways, but let me share with you few of my favorites. First, you can create a zero-based budget. To eliminate financial waste when making this type of budget, you start from scratch and have to justify every single line them for financial plan, which helps you to avoid rolling over expenses month to month that you don't need to be spending money on. Alternatively, you can resort to only spending cash you see, whether you are buying grocery or a new phone. Spending cash makes us notice the monetary effect in our action. This is because as we are physically handing over money. We see the depletion in our wallet, whereas when you use credit card or debit card, the potential to spend seems almost endless. Part of this pain we feel when we spend. Cash is due to what researchers call coupling. When someone buys an item with the cash, they immediately know how much that item will cost, which is why when shoppers pay in cash, they tend to spend only half of what they would have if they would have paid on credit instead. Method number 4. Making your money work for you. Poor people work for their money, but the rich get their money to work for them. This is typically achieved through learning the difference between assets and liabilities. If you are unfamiliar with assets, they are commonly defined as resources that will generate future economic benefit, and those benefits are most often realized in the form of income because assets produce income. The rich buy as many assets as possible when they use to pay for their day-to-day lives. This method producing income is highly supported by Rich Dad and Poor Dad, author Robert Kiyosaki, who recently tweeted, "Live up, buy everything you want, caveat buy the assets to pay for themselves." First, now, if you are currently carrying liabilities, you should be asking yourself, How can I turn this financial burden into assets? Take an example of your house. Houses are liabilities because they are expense and current positions. Each month you pay for your house's mortgages, utilities, the taxes, but luckily this liability can also be used as an asset. For instance, if you have an extra room in your house, you can rent it out, offset some of these monthly operating costs. Charging 500 for a room can easily cover some of your monthly utility bills or part of mortgage payment, utility turning into liability into an income generating tool. Method number 5. You spend consciously. The fifth and final way to become a magnet is to have a low burn rate. Your burn rate refers to the amount of money you spend on a monthly basis compared to your earnings. Now, unless you live expense for free, will always maintain some degree for a burn rate. But those who build the most amount of wealth also tend to be the best managing their burn rate. To break down a burn rate in more details, the financial ratio is typically comprised of both core and discretionary expenses. Core expenses include things like rent, utilities, tax, essential expenses you can't avoid. Discretionary expenses are things like entertainment, clothing, and other material goods. And your ability to limit these expenses is the key to become wealthy. When it comes to burn rate, there are three types of individual. There are those who make no effort to reduce their type of expense, those who limit their discretion expense, and finally the burn rate minimizer who work hard to limit both core discretion cost. As you probably guessed, the third group are the ones who reach final independence the fastest, and I will now walk you through the example illustrate exactly how this work. Meet Steve. Steve makes 5,000 US dollars a month after tax, and his monthly housing cost and day-to-day expenses amount to roughly $3,500 on average. Steve spends another $1,000 on clothing and entertainment every month. Combining these core and discretion costs, Steve spent $4,500, his total $5,000 earning every month, which equates to having a 90% burn rate. This leaves Steve with the $500 a month to put aside for retirement basis on 4% retirement, which requires you to have 25 times your annual living expenses. In order to retire with the 4% withdrawal rate, Steve would need to accumulate $1,350,000 to cover his annual living cost of $54,000, which if he invested $500 a month and $10 would take 32 years. But if Steve were reduce his annual living expenses, how would this affect his retirement timely? Let's say Steve downsized his home and cut out 75 of his discretionary expenses, making his total monthly burn rate $3,000. He would then have a burn rate of 60% and annual living cost of $36,000. This annual cost would mean having save up $900,000, which at 10 would take 28 years in essence of reducing your burn rate. You are effectively shortening your path of financial freedom and turning yourself into a legit money-making magnet. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. And be sure to turn on bell notifications so you don't miss any videos just like this one. If you enjoyed this video, please give us your thoughts in the comment below, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.